This is AndyTube, and in this video I'm going to try out my new digital ultrasonic cleaner for cleaning the vintage sewing machine parts that I use in my restoration. And couple of my friends have been telling me for a couple of years that I really should get one of these because they do such a superior job of cleaning parts. And I actually think my cleaning method using the Krud Kutter original formula degreaser is very inexpensive and quite good, but sometimes it does involve pre-treating and soaking and stuff. And you know, my friend said, hey, you just put the parts in here and go do something else and come back a couple hours or whatever and they're all done. And the only cost is the original setup, you know, because you don't even have to use a cleaner. You can just put in water, but it does work better with some kind of cleaner or detergent. So I'm a real novice at this, and I'm sure that there's probably hundreds of ultrasonic cleaning reviews on YouTube, and people who are very experienced with it and stuff. So just keep in mind that this is the first one I've ever purchased, I've ever used, I've ever put my hands on. This cost me $70 delivered, and I bought myself this for Christmas with some of the profits of restoring machines for some local people here in the Phoenix, Arizona area that approached me and offered to pay to kind of restore their machine. So I asked my buddies, and of course they want me to get the $300 or $400 one that holds 4 gallons, and you know, I kind of thought it would be nice if you could just put the whole machine in there, you know, without dismantling any of it, but whatever. I did go with a 3-liter. Now there's smaller ones for less money, and there's 3-liter ones for less money than this. And this particular one I bought, I looked today, and it's now the same seller on eBay has it for $65, or make an offer with free shipping. One reason that and this is generic. There's not even a company name on it anywhere. And I see this exact cleaner in different setups, digital or knobs, with or without a heater, smaller, bigger, different voltages. So I figure there's like one company in China that makes this, and then some of them are exactly like this, but there's a brand name here. So I figure, okay, people are just buying it and slapping their name on it. And so I bought this one, which was a little bit more money, because it has 2 transducers at 40 kilohertz. And that's what is built into the bottom, the base, and it's actually kind of heavy for its size with those electronic parts down there. But it's supposed to have 2 transducers sitting side by side, and that's what makes the steel tray vibrate and the water go ultrasonic. And you know, for I think like $20 more, this had a stronger heater. This can heat the water, and it's got a 100-watt heater, and can heat the water, I think, up to 50 degrees centigrade. They recommend a setting of 20 to 40, and it's 110 volts. You can buy them with 240 volts, but like I said, I paid about $20 more to get one with the double transducers because I figured it was going to be faster. And It is rated for safety and has an on-off switch in the back, and has a it came with a very typical you know, American style 3-prong grounded plug, and you know, a removable cord, which is going to help when I have to dump the water out. I can just unplug that. And this digital one was a little bit more too. They have some with just mechanical knobs on the front, and I think when you go one size up, like maybe to a 4-liter, they had some with little like on and off spouts on the side that you can drain it. But it came very well packed. I won't show you all the packing material, but it was in the original factory box, and it was packed with this kind of what I call exploded foam kind of stuff, and it was very well protected, and there was no damage or anything like that. The seller on eBay just slapped you know, a shipping label right on the factory box, and so I opened it up, and it was upside down in the box, and I took off some of this foam, and I reached down into the box and grabbed it to slide it up out of the box, and it came right out, but I got myself a real nice bloody thumb out of it right there. Whew! Blood all over the place. So I found out that this is all like folded metal, and where it was folded on all the corners down here and on this seam, there was very sharp edges. So I took my Dremel, once I got my Band-Aid on, I took my Dremel and a grinding stone, and I ground down every little sharp place that I could find. And up at the top it's okay, because it's like the inside tank is set in this outside cover, and it's all sealed with a, oops, sorry, you can't see that. There's an inside tank I'll show you in a minute that sits in this outside cover, and then it's all like sealed with a nice, very nice silicone edging around there. And here's how the bottom looks at it. Bottom of it looks nice, heavy rubber feet. I can see a printed circuit board. I'm not going to open it up, but there is a Chinese name here of the company that I can't pronounce. I assume a Chinese name, and then Ultrasonic Cleaning Equipment Company Limited, with a service hotline international number and a address in Guangdong, China. So there wasn't anything in the package. It's got a manufacture date. It's got a manufacturer sticker up here, date of, I'm assuming, August of 2017-08. But a very simple brochure in pretty good English was included. It didn't say anything about servicing it, or a warranty, or a guarantee, or anything like that. But it was just a little 4-page, very basic operation, how to use it. So let me show you the other parts here. A stainless steel lid that came covered up here in its own kind of like blue saran wrap to protect it. You can see I've already taken my fingerprints and stuff. And then inside there's this parts basket that has what they called rubber feet, but you can see it's just like some rubber tubing slipped on there. But it's a good fit for it. Fits right down inside there. And my understanding was to put the parts in there and not rest the parts right on the bottom of the base. So I probably should have grabbed my tape measure to show you the opening, but you can see some of the main shafts and stuff are probably not going to fit in here, but I'm hoping that a lot of parts of the size that I take off will fit. I don't know what I'm going to do with screws and stuff. And my friend told me that he goes to the store and buys like a 2-inch or 3-inch stainless steel 2-piece ball with holes in it that's made for putting tea leaves in and making a big pot of tea. And that he throws his small little parts in those and just throws it in the basket. He restores cars, so he's got a big shop, like $500 one of these. But he had the same problem. What do I do with little screws? And according to both my friends that have something like this, they said don't just throw the parts in. You've got to, hang them from something, and they highly recommended, one has a heated one and the other doesn't, and they highly recommended one that you can heat the water because it's supposed to clean it faster. But that's it. And the idea is you put, according to the little instruction paper, you put your parts in the basket, and then you add plain tap water up so that they cover the parts, and then put the lid on, and if you want heat, set the temperature, turn it on, and then when it shows you it's at that temperature, then you set a timer for how long. And it says the ZZ noise is normal. So I did plug it in before I started the video because I figure if it's not even going to turn on, why do the video, right? But and I did turn the transducers on for a couple of seconds just to make sure they worked. And it says don't run it without parts and water and stuff, but I figured a few seconds isn't going to hurt. So when I turn it on in the back, this comes up to 50 degrees Celsius, the highest setting, and it says the actual Celsius reading it's getting in my room or of the unit is 23. And it's set for 5 minutes and 0 seconds. And then the control, like higher and lower temperatures, here's the temperature bottom. It's button. It's very clearly labeled. So they said setting from 20 to 40. So I probably tried 30 the first time, and then 5 minutes. You go up by minutes or down by minutes, and I don't know how to do the seconds yet. I don't know. I thought it said 10 minutes was the limit, but it's telling me 30 minutes is the limit. I don't know how to do that in seconds. It's up and down. Maybe if you push them both it goes over to seconds. I guess if you were doing jewelry and stuff you might, maybe you only need 30 seconds. I don't know. But there wasn't any recommended amount of time. And even my buddies, when I said, well, how long should I run it? It depends on how dirty or what you're cleaning. So I'm really going to be experimenting here. But once you got your temperature setting, like for 30, the lower buttons are on and off. And they show positive light. So it's telling me I set it for 30 degrees. It's actually 23. But it's on, so it would be starting to heat, And then here's what, let me put it down here and I'll turn the ultrasonic transducers on. So the reviews I had read on some eBay sites said it works very well. A couple said it's a little noisy but not bad, but I don't know how to compare it, you know. When I put this in, I imagine it's going to be noisier because it's going to, you know, rattle, but let's see here. Yeah. So with all the stuff in there, of course, it rattles more, but maybe if I had some parts in water, which I'm going to be doing, you know, maybe it won't be so bad. So I'm not going to run it overnight in a room that I sleep in, because that would be real annoying to me. But I'm going to pick out some parts and so forth and get it set up and test it out. So let me get it set up to test, and then I'll show it to you. Okay, let's continue with the setup here for this ultrasonic cleaner. And before I go any farther, I'm a little bit less than 4 inches deep, and about 5.5 inches front to back, and about 9 inches wide is the size of the opening. And I've already put a liter of or quart, 32 ounces of tap water in there, and I picked out some parts, and I picked 2 sets of matching parts because I decided I'm going to try first with just plain water, and then I'm going to run very similar parts in similar condition with about just an ounce of the Krud Kutter cleaner, which would be really a very weak solution. But what I've got here is the vertical shaft that sits in the upright. Now I usually don't take these out of the machine to clean them, but I'm going to throw these in there because the gears are typically very dirty, black grease. This is from a part slot of a 503A Singer machine that I bid for and won on eBay, and I'm going to clean those. So I'm going to throw in that shaft with the gears in the basket. I'm going to throw in, this is the needle bar with the connecting stud on there. That is something that I would remove and clean by hand with the Krud Kutter. I'm going to throw most of the take-up lever assembly here. I'm not taking apart the screw, the hinge screw, but it's quite dirty, as you can see. And this is also something I don't always take out of a machine, but it's the needle bar driving arm from the 503, and I want to see how it cleans up. So those are going to be my first test with plain water. For the second test, I'm going to use the hook driving shaft with gears that are similarly dirty. I'm going to use the dirty presser bar and the presser bar bushing, and I'm going to use one of the hinge screws that would connect the take-up lever into the counterweight. That's how you would connect the take-up lever to it. So that'll be my second batch with a little bit of the Krud Kutter to see. But let's get the first one in here and see if I can move this forward. It does cover almost cover. 1 liter almost covers the thing. So I guess it says to be sure they're covered, so maybe I'll put in about another pint. Let's see. Yeah. I'll put in 2 more cups. So that's going to give me a total of 6 cups. And let's see if I can get these closer here. The parts are covered by about an inch of the water. Right? So I'm thinking that's enough. And again, just plain tap water. The closest tap to this is a bathroom sink. And I get that out of here. So if we look at the controls, I'm going to turn the unit on in the back. And I decided to set the temperature at 40 instead of 30. They recommend 20 to 40. And I'm going to go to 40 because when I converted that to Celsius, it wasn't that hot. It was only like 80 some degrees. So, and the actual is already 40, just coming from the tap water. Remember, it's Arizona. I know it's January, but I'm wondering if I put this up. It says the actual is 40. How about that? Okay, so we're not going to have to wait for it to warm up. I was all set to time it to see how long it took to warm 6 cups of water up to 40, but it's already set. So I'll turn the heater on. Turn the heater on. How come it's not? Oh, it's not showing that it's on because it's already 40. So I guess once it reaches the temperature, it'll cycle on and off. Let's see if I raise that temperature and made it more than 40. And try that again. There. So it did. The blue indicator on light did come on. So let's see if I take it back down to, whoops, take it back down to just the 40, if that'll cycle off. It does. Oh, that's cool. So it'll cycle the heater, 100-watt heater, on and off to maintain whatever temperature it's set here. And then I really don't know what to expect, so I'm just going to go with 10 minutes just because I want to see what happens with 10 minutes, because I could with these parts out of the machine, I could take them to the sink and spray them with the Krud Kutter, let them sit 2 or 3 minutes, scrub them with a plastic brush, rinse them, and even dry them in about a 10-minute period. So I want to see what's this going to affect, if anything, in 10 minutes. So I'll put the lid on to maintain the heat, and I'll start the ultrasonic. There we go. See a nice little countdown. So I'll come back in 10 minutes and we'll check it out, see if it's done anything. Okay, automatic shut off. I'm going to go ahead and turn the the temperature off because it's up to 46 when I only set it at 40. So I guess the heater works good. See if I can shut that off. Okay, maybe I'll shut the whole thing off. So let's back out. Some moisture clinging to the lid here. See See if I can scoot this over and we'll take a look at the inside. Tilt it just a little. Oh yeah, it's pretty murky looking in there, so something happened with the plain tap water at 40 to 46 degrees. Let's see what this came and looked like. A lot of the built up grease has come off, but I still see plenty of it on here. Of course, this was only 10 minutes, and I still have a lot of varnishing and staining on the shaft here. Might as well look at these other parts, get them out of here. Oop. Alright, here's my needle bar. Some improvement, but still plenty of grease and varnishing showing up here. You find a nice clean spot here and just rub this a little bit. Not as clean as I'd hoped. Let's look at the take-up lever. Since this was mostly oil, yeah, it's still pretty grungy. Yep, not what I'd call clean. Paddle, not much cleaner. The aluminum, not really any brighter. The varnished oil where it connects to the needle bar vibrating bracket is still stained. Alright, so that's what 10 minutes would do anyway. So like I said, these parts I could have taken to the sink with my Krud Kutter cleaner and sprayed them, let them set 2 or 3 minutes, scrub them down with a nylon brush or nylon scrubby sponge, washed and dried them in about 10 minutes. So what I got to do now is unplug this, and I got to drain out that dirty water and reload it with 6 cups of fresh tap water, and then I'll set up to run the other parts with some Krud Kutter for 10 minutes just to see if there's any difference between adding a little Krud Kutter. Okay, so I dumped out that water. I wiped out the bottom of the container there, and there was grunge on the bottom, and the water was kind of murky, so I mean it had some effect. And now I'm going to put my other shaft with similarly dirty gears and staining, and I'm going to put the pressure bar bushing. I'm very interested to see what it does on the inside, because I have to take a bottle brush and clean that. And then I'm going to take the hinge screw for the take-up lever, put that in there, and then the pressure bar with one of the presser feet on there, and we'll see how that comes out. So before I do that, I'm going to add about 1 ounce of the Krud Kutter cleaner. So that's 1 ounce of cleaner to 48 ounces of water, so that would be only about a 2% solution, which is really nothing. But in the instruction manual for this, it did say, you know, just use tap water. If parts are really bad, you can use 5 to 10 milliliters of detergent, whatever detergent means. And 10 milliliters, I think, is about a tablespoon. So this I just put in was 3 times that much, 30 milliliters of Krud Kutter. And I'll put it in there, put the lid on. I set the temperature to 40 again. The water's actually at 46, so this retains some heat. And then I'll set the timer up to 10 minutes and go. And then I'll come back in 10 minutes and we'll see what happens with the Krud Kutter solution. Boom. Okay, there's another 10 minutes. You see that the actual temperature says it's gone up to 50, 51, even though I had it set at 40. But that was 10 minutes of the other parts with about a 2% solution of Krud Kutter. So let's take a look at these. You can scoot it over again. Yeah, the water's warm, but you couldn't make a cup of tea out of it, that's for sure. And it's fairly murky, doesn't look, the density of the murkiness in the water doesn't look any different than with the plain water. So let's just take a look at some parts here. Pull that shaft out. And some of it looks like it did get a little more grease off of the gear, but they're still stained, and the shaft still has varnish, but it does look a little bit cleaner. So let's look at some more here. This is always one of the worst parts, and it still is pretty good. Off of the smooth metal, it got it a little cleaner. The rough metal here in the depressed areas is still pretty stained. The smoother metal did get a little bit shinier, and this varnishing does come off a little bit. So I definitely say that the Krud Kutter helped, at least. Also, the pressure bar needle bars are always one of the worst, from the years of the additives in the oil drying up and leaving stains and varnish. So even wiping off the stains is easier with the Krud Kutter. Just a 2% solution. The pressure foot turned out nice, and the thumb wheel turned out nice. So the 2% solution of Krud Kutter definitely helped. But it's not anywhere near as clean. This is a total of 20 minutes I spent with these two batches. Could have probably got all the parts pretty clean with Krud Kutter. So I'm going to put those parts back in, and I'm going to put the first batch I did in plain water back in there, and what I'm going to do now is just run it for the time limit of 30 minutes. Because those really only had 10 minutes, which doesn't seem like very much. Set the temperature. I guess I'll set it back down to about 40 because it was keeping it higher than that anyway. And let's see if I can set the timer. I wonder if I push and hold. No, you got to push it for every minute. So if I'll set that up for 30, which is the maximum, and I'll let it run for a half hour and see how much more of that stuff that it gets off. So that would give them a total of 40 minutes. And go. Okay. So that is the first full 30 minutes on top of the previous 10. I still had it set at 40, but you see now it says the temperature's gone up to 60. So I guess that is not very accurate, or maybe it is. Maybe it is accurate, and that's the actual temperature. Let's get the lid off here. There's a lot more condensation, I guess, is maybe the longer time and the higher temperature. Let me test that a little bit, see if I'm... Ooh, that's definitely getting up there. Might have to get some tongs. Let's look in, without dumping this all in my lap here. It's probably hard to tell, but there is a lot. The water is definitely darker now than it was after the 10-minute trial. So that is a good sign. See if I can get something to hold this. Maybe it won't be too hot here. Let's pull out the gear shafts. Whee! That's definitely a little too hot to hold. Looking a lot cleaner. I'm still seeing, if I can grab a Q-tip here. I don't know what I did with them. Here they are. There's less grease on here, but still some. So it hasn't shaken it all off. But the shaft is starting to look a lot cleaner. I wipe it a little bit. It's coming much cleaner with a little bit of friction here. You see on the gear. So I don't know, can you see the staining on the back of the gear there? That's just wiping it with a damp paper towel. Gets off quite a bit more. Now this gear looks pretty clean even between the teeth. I'm still seeing muck in there, but a lot of times when I pre-treat the gears before washing the machine, I've got to spray them with some Krud Kutter and get in there and scrub them a little bit. It's dripping black water all over my cloth here. But it's definitely, 30 minutes was a lot better. Let's see one of the bars here. Here's my needle bar. Whoop. Water coming out the end of it. Definitely cleaner. So I don't know if I would have put a lot more Krud Kutter in there, you know, to make a higher solution percentage. but that is a lot cleaner. Let's see the needle bar driving arm. Ouch, ouch, ouch. It's pretty warm, 60 degrees. So I'm still having staining there, but a lot of it's wiping off the aluminum. All the chrome pieces just come out gorgeous. I mean, they, you know, nothing for the dirt and grease to cling to. That paddle's wiping up pretty good. The little areas of the, oh, look how nice that cleaned up on the end. Look at that. That's nice. There was quite a bit of varnishing there before, and it seems like the more polished the metal is, the easier the stuff is coming off, and the aluminum itself brightened up quite a bit. So that's a little bit more impressive. Let's see the needle bar there. That's always one of the worst areas. Just wiping it gently with a paper towel. Now, even when I spray these and wash them the way I usually do, a lot of times I have to polish the needle bar with metal polish because it's just so stained. Maybe from all the friction and rubbing the dirt in there, it gets a little pitted and the dirt can hide in there. I know I'm going to have fun cleaning all my presser feet with this thing because it does a very impressive job. Now I'm wondering, let's look under the actual foot there that I left on. So inside there's definitely some buildup of crud, but it comes right off. So I think even spraying this with a force of water, rinsing it, would probably get most of this loose stuff off. I really like the way the presser foot looks. Let's see the same in that needle bar. Under here, this is one of the worst areas, and it's wiping right up. So I would not have to polish this any more than I would when I do the spray and wash without any ultrasonic cleaning. Can't quite figure out, that looks like there's a spring in there. I don't remember that being on a 503. Let's see that bushing, presser bar bushing, or is this the needle bar bushing? It looks like the presser bar, maybe presser bar. So even these areas that had it had left some stain, it got more of that clean, and there's still varnishing there, but again, this is a piece that when I wash it, just like my spray and wash kind of method using the Krud Kutter, some of these really bad areas I still go over with my Dremel wire brush to polish, or clean it real quick with a metal cleaner, because I think it just gets grit down in there that eventually makes microscopic pitting, and then the chemicals from the oil sit in there and varnish. So go up in here and see how the inside looks. Matter of fact, let me get that a little bit wet and go up in there. That's pretty impressive that it cleaned inside there. Nice. Okay. See the take-up levers. Looking much better now. It's got some better shine to it, but it still has a lot of muck on it, but the muck is definitely loose. and wipeable. You know, so I think I could just take a rag on a lot of these and wipe them off and then polish the ones that I would normally have to polish. We'll see about that. And I don't know, what's not much left in here. The other shaft, which is still showing staining and stuff, but pretty easy to wipe off. Let's pull that gear off because it doesn't have a set screw, and then clean that off a little bit. Now, in between the teeth on some of these is a lot cleaner than the others, and I think sometimes the grease was put a lot on a bottom gear but not on the gear up under the cam stack and stuff because it's harder to get to, so it's a lot cleaner. Okay, so after 40 minutes this is looking like it's doing pretty good. And here's that hinge screw connector that holds the take-up lever on. Still stained, but a lot more of the grease and varnishing has come off. So I think what I'm going to do is put them in for another half hour. So I think that may be the way to go on a lot of these. Heavier stained parts would be like 2 of the 30-minute cycles, and I'm guessing for the lighter stained parts like presser feet and some of these, maybe the presser bar lifter lever, that are smoother finish and don't get so bad, maybe 1 30-minute cycle would be good for those. And I don't have anything to try the screws and stuff, but I'm sure if it can clean this stuff it could do the screws. But let me just go back in there and let's see. I think I'll add. No, it's still everything is still completely underwater, so not much has evaporated. And I'm going to go back for another 30-minute cycle and then take a look at it then. So I'll share that with you. Boom. Okay. It does get annoying after a while, that sound. Let's take a look now. So these parts have been in ultrasonic system for a total of 70 minutes. 10-minute and 2 30-minute sections. So let's get them out here and look at them. These are even much cleaner. See if I can get the light right up there. So much more of the grease and varnishing and staining has come off. Even this had a lot of stubborn black grease and grit, which gets down in those grooves. They look real good in there. So that is impressive. That's cleaner than after I spray and wash and scrub them a little bit. I always have to give that area extra attention. And I still see some staining up here on the side of the gear, but it's, I don't know if you'll be able to see that smudge right there, but it wipes right off, so that's real good. And like I said, a lot of times, especially on the needle bar and ouch, ouch, still hot, needle bar and pressure bar. I have to go back, and I've even sanded it with 1000 grit sandpaper and used different metal polishes and the wire brush of my Dremel to get this really deep staining off of the needle bar. But this area came out real nice, and this is at least as good as my cleaning of the needle bar before polishing or using any of my metal polishing chemicals. So I would say 2 30-minute runs through this is going to do it. Yeah, the aluminum is even more bright now, and paddle on the needle bar driving arm. All the little corners and nooks that it's even hard for me to get the brush in sometimes. So it's pretty impressive. Let's take a look at this loose gear I threw in there. Yeah, there's still, and I guess there's, oh, it's just such a tight space, and that dust that gets in the grease and then it's ground in there, but it's brushing out real easy. So I would kind of be tempted to lift the strainer out of this, drain it, and then put it in the sink and spray it to see if a bunch of this loose stuff, especially on the little nook and cranny areas, wouldn't come off. But so I would say now my $70 was well spent, because what I was thinking, now see here, it's still got that, and I can usually brush that right off with a nylon scrubby when there is Krud Kutter on it. So still going to take a little bit of, well, see, it's coming, look, it's just kind of wiping off with this old cotton towel I got here. That's really, I am impressed very much. So what I had started to say was, what I was thinking was, when I take a lot of these parts off of a machine, I'd have to be careful with the screws and stuff like that. But I could put them in here and run them through these cycles while I'm washing and drying the main body. You know, because I pre-treat it, scrub it a little bit, take it in the bathtub and spray it with the Krud Kutter, and maybe scrub a little bit, and then wash it with the hose, dry it with the leaf blower, and then I got to bring it back and put a light coating of oil on stuff. So I could be doing the small parts in the ultrasonic cleaner while I was doing that, and I would save myself a lot of time, I think. Boy. So for $70, I'm going to rate it as a good new tool that I will probably use in that way. I will have to invest some more, I think, for these stainless steel key leaf holders that I could put the smaller screws, or I guess I could still clean those the old way. Now this take-up lever is looking real sweet. It's looking very, very nice. I don't know how well that's showing up here. I haven't edited any of these clips yet, but boy, just getting them nice and clean. So I'll have to tell my buddies they were right. I hate to do that, especially because they're going to give me a hard time about telling me to do this 2 years ago. But they've got a little more money than me. You know, when they sell a restored car, they make tens of thousands of dollars in profit. I might make $100 or $2. So, But I can do a lot of machines in the time it takes them to do one. So I won't make you watch me dig the rest out, but just let me get some of these parts up here and show you how they came out. And let me get some of the dirty parts here and show you how, just to give you a reminder of how they looked. You know, what kind of varnishing and grease and oil was on these parts before I put them in the ultrasonic cleaner. These main shaft and other parts here, you know, were, and look at that gear. That was very much how these others looked. And after, I would say, running, you know, about an hour in the ultrasonic cleaner, really got the bulk of it off. So yippee-i-o-ki-a, I like it. I'll be using that. So that is my testing review, I guess you could say, of this unbranded $70 digital ultrasonic cleaner. And like I said, this same one today I saw it for $65 free shipping, but make offer, so maybe you could get it for $55. I have no idea. I'll tell you what, I'll put a link in the description below this video to the seller and the listing for this. But please look around. There could be other deals too, you know, and that you like better if you are interested in buying one. I kind of wish now I'd done it before, because it wasn't as expensive as I thought to buy these smaller ones. And this is actually pretty good. I mean, they have much smaller ones. They have 1 liter and stuff like that. So I don't regret paying about $20 more to get the double transducer. I don't know. More power seems worth it to me, you know, but and I will put the link. And while I was waiting for this to finish, I was wondering, I wonder how big of an ultrasonic cleaner I would need and what it would cost to have one that I could just like set the whole machine down inside and not even have to dismantle it. But I don't know. I guess sometime I'll throw something painted. I'll throw an old chipped up nose cover or something, because I don't know what it would do with the paint. But they say you can clean jewelry and watches and watch bands and all kinds of stuff in these. So you could probably, if you had a big enough one, stick a whole, you know, model 66 in there, or a 404, and put it in there for a couple hours and take it out, rinse it off, and oil it. And whew. Okay, folks, thanks for tuning in. I hope you come back and visit AndyTube in the future. Welcome any comments or questions, and subscribe if you feel like it. And we'll catch you next time. Take care.